Good day, comrades. My name is Radik Madinov. I am a Soviet citizen and a person, a physician, a neurologist, a member of an independent association of doctors. Currently, I live in Turkey. I would like to express my opinion about what is happening. All those who were born, studied, grew up, lived in the Soviet Union remember. There were banners reading, "The USSR is a stronghold of peace," in almost every city of the USSR. You remember all this, I am sure. Unfortunately, we, then still young, did not quite understand the meaning of what was written and thought that to be just propaganda of what should be by default. And even perceived the words with a smile. Now we, the Soviet people and their descendants, as I am sure, and all of humanity, are no longer in the mood for laughter and irony, because the world is on the verge of falling into a nuclear pit from which no one will be able to get out.
Поэтому мы, все люди мира, должны заявить, что, как и тогда, в далеком
Then, in the distant 1977 to 1991, in the pioneer summer camps on the shores of the radiant Issyk-Kul Lake, in then Kyrgyz SSR,
Лучезарного озера Иссык-Куль и тогда еще Киргизской Советской Социалистической Республики, мы пели речевку
we sang the chant of our pioneer squad, "Peace to the world, no need for war." This is the motto of the Friendship Squad. Therefore, if now all of humanity understands that it is on the verge of oblivion as an earthly civilization in general, and all together say, "Peace to the world, no need for war," this is the motto of the people of the earth. Then perhaps we will be able to avoid not only a nuclear war, but any wars on earth, which are always unleashed by imperialist capital and Zionism, and are, in the modern conditions of globalization, the precursors of a nuclear war. The Soviet, Russian people and their descendants should most likely become a stronghold of peace and lead all of humanity, showing a peaceful, creative, harmonious path of development for all of humanity. And for this, it is necessary to say to all the people of the earth, no, not only to a nuclear explosion, but also to say no to any wars that are unleashed to please a bunch of non-humans in human form, their insane serfs in the anti-people governments of countries. And all the nations of the world must help the Russian people in this common cause of unity, cooperation, mutual assistance, building harmonious relationships. Otherwise, our word will not exist at all. It will cease to exist, or a world electronic banking concentration camp will be built on the earth, and those living will envy the dead.
Молодые, если вас интересует ваше будущее,
Therefore, if you are interested in your future as thinking and creative people, tell your anti-people governments, no, no, and no. And we must all sing, as in that song, which was also broadcast on Soviet radio and television. To the sunny world, yes, yes, yes. To the nuclear explosion, no, no, no. Let this song fly like a wave to all countries, enter every person on earth, not only into the ears, but also into the souls. It is to become clear to everyone. We have no choice, we must remain reasonable people, Therefore, to the solar world, yes, yes, yes. To the nuclear explosion, no, no, no. I serve the Soviet Union.
Всего хорошего.
Nuclear war petition to world top officials. The threat of nuclear war is growing in the world. The doomsday clock stopped 90 seconds before nuclear war. We have been told everything in plain text, but we have remained silent. However, silence is a sign of consent, and the way we sign our own death warrant. But we do want to live. Therefore, it's a high time to exercise our powers as the people. We, citizens of the world, are the only real source and bearer of power in the world. As such, we have the right to prohibit the presidents of all and every country on the earth from being the first to use nuclear weapons. Hereby we, citizens of the world, declare we are against unleashing nuclear war. Vladimir Putin stated that from a military technical point of view, Russia is ready for a nuclear war. Dmitry Medvedev, deputy head of the Russian Security Council, said that Russia can use nuclear weapons if, quote, patience runs out, end of quote. According to Russian nuclear doctrine, Russia has the right to use nuclear weapons when its territory is attacked by weapons of mass destruction or when facilities are damaged, the disabling of which will lead to the failure of a retaliatory strike. Sergei Karaganov, chairman of the Presidium of the Council on Foreign and Defense Policy. Quote, if things continue as they are, Moscow will have no choice but to launch a nuclear strike on Europe. We have the right to respond to any massive strikes on our territory with a nuclear strike. End of quote. Scott Ritter, former US intelligence officer and former UN inspector, warned that a global nuclear war could have begun in mid-September 2024, had Washington allowed Ukraine to strike Russian territory with American weapons using American intelligence. Quote, we would all have been dead. That's the point I'm trying to make here, people. This is not a joke. This is not a game. The Russians are not bluffing. End of quote. Authorities are convincing us that a nuclear war is not scary, but this is a terrible lie. Associate professor of Princeton University Glaser claims that in event of a nuclear war between the United States and Russia, 60 cities and 90 million people will be immediately destroyed. The consequences will lead to the death of 5 billion people. In 1945, nuclear explosions destroyed Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In Hiroshima, 100,000 people died immediately. The heat from the bomb was so intense that bodies instantly turned to ash. And those who survived later died of radiation, sickness, and cancer. For decades, the victims and their descendants died of cancer, and they gave birth to children with deformities and genetic abnormalities. The number of victims is now estimated at 450,000 people. And modern nuclear bombs are tens of times more powerful than those dropped by the United States on Japan. All the world's powers that be who provoke a nuclear catastrophe have shelters not just for a couple of days. They have entire underground cities at their disposal for a long period of life. For me, mortals, there are simply no shelters from nuclear war in the country. In Russia, officials responsible for civil defense are openly rude to citizens, declaring that information about the location of shelters is a state secret. Powers that be are obsessed with the idea of golden billion, destruction of the Earth's entire population, except for themselves. As true fascists, they believe that only they have the right to the planet and its resources, to life. But we, people of the world, do not want to die under nuclear bombs and from radiation. It's our decision and our will that play the main role in any nuclear war prohibition. We strongly express our will so that everyone can hear us. We, people of the world, forbid all world leaders to be the first to press the nuclear button. The peoples of the world forbid heads of states to unleash any nuclear war. Declaration of intention of the people of Russia on prohibition to unleash a nuclear war. Hereby we, the undersigned representatives of the people of the world, exercising our natural powers as the only source of power in our countries, as well as the duty and obligation of a citizen to defend his/her fatherlands, the natural human right to resist oppression, declare. The people of the world are against the use of nuclear weapons. Prohibit the world leaders from being the first to use any nuclear weapons, including technical ones. Opponents have means to respond. Therefore, a single spark will inevitably result in a nuclear catastrophe and the death of great masses of world population. We forbid you to kill us. We strongly disagree with the statements of world leaders who approved the use of nuclear weapons during the Russia-Ukrainian conflict and protest against such statements being made on behalf of the citizens of countries. We demand the earliest possible start of peace negotiations between Russia and Ukraine. We demand to stop making statements provoking a preemptive strike with nuclear weapons. The people of the world are against unleashing of a nuclear war. We, the people of the world, strongly prohibit any use of nuclear weapons. Thank you.